Hello, hello students. I just wanted to again clarify some of the answers of history. So this year's history questions were really tricky and not from the common sources. So in that context, definitely people from history or other people who are relying upon history may have had some tough time while solving the questions of history in prelims 2021, in fact. For example, I'll discuss the question number 51 here on the screen. Now, this is a typical question. If you know Bhava Bhuti, and of course, Bhava Bhuti was a proficient writer who wrote Malti Madhav, that became a very famous book, especially in the post-Gupta era. In fact, he was in the court of the Chalukyas of Kalyani. So there only he wrote this particular book. So, of course, it was a play. So, therefore, from Bhava Bhuti only we can come out this conclusion that it was a playwright, or they were the playwriters, in fact. So, that is how we can go for this particular option B. So, that is the option for all of you. Similarly, question number 52 was quite tricky because this first option is incorrect. The reason being that voting rights for all women. Now, this is something still you can understand that during those days, granting a franchisee right or a franchise right to every woman was not possible, and even that was not given to the women of India, in fact. So, therefore, some voting rights this issue were discussed in this 1919 Act, but not for all the women above the age of 21 for sure. In fact, till 1935, only 10% of Indians were allowed to vote on the basis of their property and other eligibility conditions, in fact. So therefore, the first option is incorrect. Second, that is the Government of India Act of 1935 gave women reserved seats in legislature. That is correct, in fact. This statement is correct because women were given for the first time some reserved seats also in legislature. And that is from the Government of India Act 1935 only. That is correct. So answer is here B. Fine. Then you can move to the next question. Next question was simple one, that is in the context of 8th August 1942. So it is one of the most simplest question regarding the Quit India resolution was adopted by the AICC in Gwalior Tank, Mumbai, Bombay. So that is the importance of this particular date. So that was simple. Then question number 54 was again typical because obviously these books are not so popular in India or among Indians. Fine. So we hardly know about this particular book of Mahatma Gandhi. So it was basically a book written by one of the, of course, associates of Mahatma Gandhi, Holland Wali. He was a British author, Holland. So he got the papers or the songs from prison written by Mahatma Gandhi when he was in jail in Yaravada jail in Pune in 1930s. And then only this particular piece of writings of Mahatma Gandhi was published by Holland, J. Holland, and that's how Songs from Prison became a uh, famous book among the scholars who do research upon M.K. Gandhi, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. However, from the ordinary point of perspective, from the general point of perspective, this is not a very popular writing of Mahatma Gandhi in India for sure. Even if you search the book of songs from prison from Mahatma Gandhi in India, you will not find it out in India. It is available in the foreign with the foreign writers only, in fact. So with the foreign publication houses only, in fact. So therefore, I mean, that's what actually you need to understand. This question was asked typically by UPSC. I don't know why. What pushed them to ask such kind of questions, which has no any basic and logic in terms of, for the Indian students to know about some books which are not so popular, not even known among the people who even go for the master's program. Maybe even the researchers who may have taken Mahatma Gandhi as a topic, then only they could have gone through these songs from Prism altogether. Otherwise, even I doubt over this particular idea. So, I mean, that's for how UPSC is known for, in fact. So, nevertheless, the idea is the answer is C, that is songs from Prism. Then question of 55, that is the concept was introduced in the era of Mughals only in the court of Akbar. So Akbar, when he was ruler, he actually introduced this concept of the four-tier administration, that is starting from village, then Pargana, then Sarkar, then Suba. And this we come to know from Aine Akbari book that was written by Abul Fajl, in fact. So that is how Akbar designed almost all the empire into 12 provinces in northern part, and 3 provinces were also added by adding some areas of Deccan. That's how Akbar had got around 15 provinces, as even described by Abul Fajl, and those provinces were called as subas, in fact. So that is how the answer is A here: Pargana, Sarkar, and Suba. All right. Then question number 56, if you can see, this is typical one, but again, it is in common domain. That is, secretary with the Hindu Female School was basically Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. All right, so that is slightly, I would say, a little bit easier than other questions. In fact, the question like Mahatma Gandhi and etc. In fact, so that is 56. The answer is C. Then question number 57 is equally, easier one, because here the officers of the INA, they were Nawaz Khan, Prem Kumar Sehgal, all right, and Gurbaksh Singh Dhillon. So they are the popular figures of INA trial in Red Fort of 1945. So in fact, and that is how we know about them, and this is also commonly known among the students also. So 57, answer is D. Then question number 58, that's typical one. However, it is rightly taken from the NCERT book only. So the old NCRT, if you have gone through, you can easily solve it out very easily. In fact, I would say, for example, the first statement is correct because Nizamat of Arcot was the capital of Carnatic. So it was emerged out of the Hyderabad state only. That's correct, in fact. So Hyderabad state, it was under the Nizam, and Nizam was having control over the Nawab of Carnatic. That's what we also study in Carnatic Wars. All right. So the first statement is correct. Second statement, it is Mysore kingdom emerged out of Vijayanagar Empire. That is also correct. It's exactly statement written also in NCERT. So Vodiyar dynasty was there. All right. So after Vijayanagar Empire, it was taken up by Vodiyar dynasty, and from there only Mysore kingdom also emerged afterwards by Nanjaraj and Desraj. They actually for the founder of Mysore kingdom, and then it was taken over by, of course, Hyder Ali. In fact, that is how we know about Mysore kingdom. Then third option, that is Rohilkhand kingdom was formed out of the territories occupied by Ahmad Shah Durrani. So this is incorrect. Why? Because Rohilkhand was already there, in fact. And the very important thing that you should know, that it was Nazibud-Dawla of Rohilkhand who happened to always also an inviter of Ahmad Shah Abdali to invade India, and that led to the outbreak of the Third Battle of Panipat, in fact. So that is the reason why Rohilkhand kingdom was already there before Ahmad Shah Durrani attacked, or Abdali attacked India, in fact. So that's how Rohilkhand kingdom was not formed out of the territories occupied by Ahmad Shah Durrani. It is an area that is in the you can say the foothills of Himalaya, that is in Kumaon region, foothills of Himalaya, and the southern part of area touches with Ganga. So that is how this area is known as Rohilkhand. So that is what actually we need to understand. It was already there, in fact. So option number 3 is incorrect. So by this logic only, we can understand if first is correct and 3 is incorrect, so 1 and 2 both are correct. So answer is A here. Question number 59 is a pretty typical one because it has been asked in the context of history and geography have been merged together. And here you can see 59, option A. The answer is A, was Vogora River. It is located in Deccan only. All right. So therefore, Ajanta caves lie in the gorge of Vogora River only, whereas Sachi Stup lies in the gorge of Betwa River. All right. Whereas Pandulena cave shrines lie in the gorge of Godavari River, and Amravati Stup lies in the gorge of Krishna River. So in that way, all the 3 statements are incorrect. Only first is correct. So answer is A. Fine. Then question number 60 has also been slightly twisted by UPSC, especially by giving you a word called UNICEF. Had it been UNESCO, it would have been correct, in fact. But the first statement is incorrect. Second statement is correct. So answer is only B here, in fact. All right, you can see also on your screen, there's nothing to be discussed much more. It was a part of current affairs also, in fact. Now, this is a typical one, that is 61, because very few people must be knowing about Chaucer's Yogini temple. If you are very fond of reciting the Brahminical hymns or Hindu hymns, which are recited in the Orthodox Hindu family always about Chaucer Yogini, So there, of course, people also talk about Chaucer Yogini and how Shiva was related to Chaucer Yogini. So by this logic, you can understand it was never of Vaishnavite cult. So it was Saivite cult. So option number 3 is incorrect. And the moment option 3 is incorrect, so you have got only two options, either A or, of course, C. So now you have to only identify that whether the second option is correct. The only circular temple built in India. So of course, it is also not correct, in fact. There were also various temples built in southern part of India, which was equally circular. So that is the reason why option number 2 is also incorrect. So once, I mean, 3 is incorrect, 2 is incorrect. So option is only left with us is 1 and 4. So 61 answer is 1 and 4. So that is how Chaucer Yogini temple can be understood by all of us. So 61 is also a typical one, not so simple. 62 was simple, that is well known about Dhalavira, water harvesting and management that is done by Dhalavira. Dhalavira was also news because of UNESCO World Heritage Site. So in that way, Dhalavira was supposed to be asked. So here they have asked you Dhalavira. Question number 63 is quite typical. Why typical? Because a lot of informations are there and a lot of opinions are also there regarding this particular question number 63. See, as far as Trichinopalli is concerned, Trichinopalli is the medieval era's area of Arcot, which in the modern India has transformed into Trichinopalli, in fact. So Arcot Trichinopalli was similar. So in that way, in Arcot, the area was under the French occupation. So therefore, uh, here the British East India Company didn't have any factory, in fact. So option number 3 has to be eliminated. So once 3 is eliminated, we are left with only 1 and 2. Now the Broch was in Gujarat. All right. So of course, this region of Gujarat that is near to, I would say, Surat, this was always a center of factories initially by the Portuguese and also then afterwards by the British East India Company. So Bharuch was there. So one is correct. In fact, there's no doubt about it. Now Chikakol. The Chikakol is today's Srikakulam. So Srikakulam is located in the Andhra Pradesh region of the eastern coastal area of India. In fact, all right, today's that is, of course, in the just nearby. I would say above Chennai. In fact, above Tamil Nadu, this Srikakulam is located. So since Madras was a presidency of the British East India Company, right from the beginning. In fact, after, I mean, I would say 1613 itself, Madras had also become a part of British East India Company when they bought it from one of the local Raja, in fact. So Damalla Venkata Raman. So from there only they got this political Madras presidency, and therefore Srikakulam was also one of the centers of British East India Company in terms of having their factory over there. Right. So that is how Chikakol can also be taken as a part of the British East India Company. So 1 and 2 both are correct here, in fact. All right. 64 is equally very, very interesting question because time and again I have been repeating that this particular pocket of history of India has acquired immense importance last 3 or 4 years, especially in the context of the gray areas of history. Because here we don't study a lot, especially after the decline of Harshvardhan. We hardly studied what actually has happened in the history of India, in fact. So from that pocket, a lot of questions are being asked by UPSC last couple of years, in fact. Now you can see here the options, in fact, of Paramaras of Malwa will not be a part of the question which has been asked here because Paramaras of Malwa were the contemporaries of the, I would say, the post-Harsha era. In fact, they were part of Chauhan rulers. The Chauhan, you can say, phase or Chauhan era began, Rajput era began in the pre-medieval India, in fact. So therefore, Paramaras of Malwa would be eliminated. So the moment 2 is eliminated, we have only, you can say, B as an option where Gupta's Magad would be taken up. Then obviously Pushpabhutis of Thaneswar, which was part of Harshvardhan Empire only, it is also to be taken up. So 1 and 3 you take, then answer is very simply identified, that is B. So 64 answer is B, in fact. All right. Then question number 65. It is also interesting question because this question was also asked to us during our time in terms of history as an optional paper. So Portuguese writer Nunes, he had reported about Vijayanagara Empire used to recruit women in all these particular fields: wrestlers, astrologers, accountants, even soothsayers. So all of these professions were being occupied by women also in the Vijayanagara Empire, and he had visited during the time of Achyut Dev Rai, the successor of Krishna Dev Rai only. So in that way, of course, all the four options are correct. So answer is D here. And I have also given the exact source, that page number 350 to 316 of V.D. Mahajan also talks about the same thing, in fact. Question number 66, again a typical one. Very few people must be knowing about this issue, that Madanapalle of Andhra Pradesh happened to be the region where Rabindranath Tagore translated the national anthem, which was written in Bengali, to English here itself. So 66 answer is C. That is a typical one, but that is the answer for all of you, in fact. Question number 67. Now here you can see that is the first option is incorrect. That is Burjahom, because it is very popular site of Neolithic era, lo located in Jammu and Kashmir. So in that way, one is not going to be correct. So one is eliminated. Then you are left with only 3 and 2 and 3. So you have to only, catch the option of Chandraketu Gad, because Chandraketu Gad is located in Bengal, West Bengal. And this happened to be a site right from the Mauryan time only. And from Maurya to post-modern time, it was a very active site for terracotta and other artistic activities. So terracotta art was definitely very proficient art in Chandraketu Gad. So that is option number 2 is going to be correct one. And Ganeshwar is equally a very prominent site of the copper hoard culture and located in Rajasthan areas. Therefore, copper artifacts was also a part of Ganeshwar. So in that way, 2 and 3 are correct. So answer is D here. It is 67 question number. Answer is D. Then 68, another interesting question. It is in the context of the matching the two particular, eras, two particular people in a particular era, in fact. So reign of Iltutmish, Genghis Khan was contemporary to Iltutmish only. And I keep telling in the class also of mine that Genghis Khan was contemporary to Iltutmish, and he happened to invade up to the river Indus, in fact. He didn't cross Indus just because of Iltutmish did not provide any, we can say, support or asylum to the Khwarezm prince. He was Mangbarni. So Jalaluddin Mangbarni was the Khwarezm prince, and he wanted to take shelter, but Iltutmish denied it just to avoid any possible attack of Genghis Khan also on Delhi Sultanate. So that is the reason why this issue was important. So first statement is correct. Then second is reign of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Obviously not. So Taimur did not invade during the time of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. He invaded rather in the time of the post Muhammad bin Tughlaq, and it was being ruled by Mahmud Tughlaq. So in 1398-99, Taimur Lung had invaded India. He crossed Multan, Indus, in fact, occupied Multan also. So that is how the invasion took place in 1398, and whereas Muhammad bin Tughlaq's era had already got finished by 1350s itself, in fact. All right, that's the reason why there's no match of this particular question. So option number 2 is incorrect. Then you have option number 3. Now option number 3 again has the two mismatches, especially Vasco da Gama had come to India around 1498, 1499, in fact, in Goa, whereas Devraya II, he was in between the 1420 to 1441, in fact, was Vijayanagar Empire, in fact. All right. So Devraya II was much earlier than Vasco da Gama, who came down to India. So option number 3 is also incorrect. So 68 answer is A only. Then question number 69. If you see question number 69, then we can simply understand that there are 3 statements, and these 3 statements are relevant. Why? Because St. Xavier's happened to be my school also, and I had to prepare this also during my interview. So I remember about it. So that Francis Xavier, he didn't died in India. He died in China when he went from Goa to China to propagate his messages of Christianity. So of course, in that way, he died in China. So statement number 2 is incorrect. So by this logic only, we can get the answer very easily. So if 2 is incorrect, so answer is only C, 1 and 3, in fact. So rest of the statements are correct, because Francis Xavier, he came along with Ignatius Loyola to promote Christianity and also the Western education system in India and across the Asian region, in fact. So that's the reason why this information is important for all of us in that way. Then question number 70, that is very popular in the context of Mitaksha and Dayabhag. So they are the laws, the books written by one that is, of course, Gyaneshwar. All right. So, and then another one was written by Jimut Wahan. So these books were written by these two scholars at different ports, at different point of time. So these two scholars wrote the books, and these books were written during the post-Gupta period only, in fact. And under these two books, in fact, Mitakshara and Dayabhag, both talk about the right to property to be given to the successors, in fact. So in that way, these are the books which actually govern our family law, in fact. So family law, family property law are governed by these two books, and these two books are still the sources of our family law, which provides us the base for having the rules and the laws for the property in our country, even in current times, in fact. So that is the reason why Vintaksha Dayabhag are very important sources of the family law in our country, the property law in our country, in fact. So it talks about the right of succession, in fact. So, for example, Dayabhag is quite applicable in the region of Assam and Bengal, whereas Mitakshara is in rest of India. So, in that way, option number 2 is correct, whereas 1 and 3 are absolutely incorrect statements. So, therefore, only 2 is correct here. It is Mitakshara and Dayabhag. All right. So, this is how question number 70 has also been discussed. So, these were the questions of history, in fact. Now, out of these questions, one can simply understand that barring, I would say, 3 or 4 questions of history, all the other, in fact, if there were 20 questions, all the other questions were relatively very difficult for the majority of the students, in fact. So, in that way, the paper of history or the questions of history were relatively very tougher for many of the candidates comparative comparison to the last year. Last year there were a couple of questions which were tough. Otherwise, the rest of the questions could have been done by the students. Here this year, majority of the questions were tough. On the tougher side, only 4 to 5 at the max, in fact, were the questions which could be done by the students of civil service examination very comfortably. Otherwise, they all were having some of the other, we can say, tricks involved into these questions. Fine. So with this, I'm concluding the session of this history discussion, and again come with the discussion of the questions of economy in my next video. Thank you.